sleeping in the cold, eating in the cold. I couldn't take the cold anymore.
They have about 30 cots which have been filled every night. Sherry Miller is thankful she's there.
It's overwhelming. And I got room.
In Nashville, Tennessee, Pastor Dwayne Lewis was handing out food at his church.
You got a lot of people that's refrigerators of food that's spoiled and gone. We're able to help them fill their refrigerators back up.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
The Senate has failed to advance legislation to fund major portions of the government ahead of a Saturday shutdown deadline, with Democrats demanding reforms to how immigration agencies are carrying out President Trump's agenda. CBS's Erica Brown is on Capitol Hill.
A possible solution under discussion is the Senate removing funding for the Department of Homeland Security from the massive spending package in order to pass the other 5 funding measures. Then the Senate could approve temporary funding for DHS while negotiations continue about changes to ICE.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry, speaking at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, calls on the Trump administration to end the surge of immigration enforcement in cities across the country.
This is not a time to bend our heads in despair or out of fear that we may be next, because if we do not speak up, if we do not step out, it will be your city that is next.
Mayor Fry says leaders must stand firm to protect their communities. In Illinois, former Sheriff Deputy Sean Grayson has been sentenced to 20 years for killing Sonia Massey in her home. Massey had called 911 for help concerning a possible prowler. Grayson fired on her when he felt threatened by a pot of boiling water while inside the home. Massey's daughter, Summer, says she does not accept that Grayson says he is sorry.
I don't think I'm gonna forget him no time soon. I don't think he really care anyway. He just sick and dying. He won't forget it. So, I mean, if he do die, maybe he going to the pearly gates, but I don't think so.
President Trump, during his first cabinet meeting of the new year, announces,
by the end of today, I'd like to have the airspace over Venezuela. Planes can go to Venezuela opened up.
President closed the airspace following the U.S. military raid that ousted Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro. Meantime, Venezuela's government has approved opening the nation's oil sector to privatization. This is CBS News.
Take control of your financial life. Follow and listen to Money Watch with Jill Schlesinger on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
DQ presents the Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy, bold strips that heat you up. Served with a side of famous DQ soft serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into soft serve, plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Spicy Menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy, tastes good. Participation may vary.
Good afternoon. It's been struggling for the last 15-20 minutes. 24 westbound at Briley Parkway trying to get north of town. We had a stalled vehicle up in that area around OHB. Again, extra time towards the Jolton Clarksville area on 24 westbound from that earlier problem. It's still a little bit heavy at times over here where they're working eastbound on Briley right at Brick Church Pike. Building pretty good I-40 out into Mount Juliet area. Hey, Stein Dental Care in Nashville. That's where I go, and so should you. Google Stein Dental Care. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on-time traffic.
Local farmers, local meats, vegetables, and other produce at the Winter Spring Rutherford County Farmers Market.
Up and make your way every Friday at Lane Agri Park.
Rutherford weather. A cold weather advisory will begin Friday night and continue into Monday. Mostly cloudy tonight as temperatures fall back to 24. Rain and snow are likely as we head toward Friday, a high of 35. I'm meteorologist Regina Cole from the WGNS Rutherford Weather Center. Right now, it's 43 degrees.
We do it your way. Pizza, pizza.
Order a royal feast or create your own pizza online now at sirpizzatn.com. Carry out and delivery for dinner tonight at sirpizzatn.com.
We're the Good Neighbor Network. FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro. FM 100.5 Smyrna. Audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com.
From the first pitch to the final buzzer, this is where the conversation starts. All sports talk on WGNS and Big G TV, covering the Preps, MTSU, news from Tennessee and nationwide. Now, here's All Sports Talk on the Good Neighbor Network.
And welcome inside the WGNS studios here on a Thursday night. And man, that forecast we heard just before, rain and snow likely for this weekend. I think I've had a little bit enough of that. I don't know about you guys, but glad to have you back in here on this Thursday night. And hopefully everybody is mostly recovered from the snow and ice. I know that there's still some areas that are recovering from the effects of that, so our best wishes go out to all of you. Hopefully we can make your night just a little bit better with some entertaining stuff here on All Sports Talk, a lightning round edition, because coming up at 5:30, MTSU men's basketball. More on that later. And speaking of MTSU men's basketball, the more on later is in fact right now, so I didn't set that up too well, but we'll get right into it. Men's basketball taking on the Liberty Flames tonight. Big game for MTSU men's basketball. And really, they're all big, especially this time of year with Conference USA play on the horizon and already being a thing. But especially when it comes to the ramifications of this game, they're massive. Blue Raiders are 11-8 overall entering this game, 5-3 in Conference USA play, currently third in the standings in CUSA behind Jacksonville State, and who else but the Liberty Flames, who are their opponent for tonight. And folks, this Liberty team is no joke. They are, I'd say, one of the more underrated teams across college basketball in this country. 17-3 overall, 9-0 in Conference USA play. To borrow an oft-used phrase, and it's kind of apropos when you're talking about the Flames, but they are truly en fuego to start this season. There's a reason they're the defending Conference USA champions, and it further highlights how big of an impact that Liberty has had since entering the conference just a little less than 3 years ago. I remember when they first came in 2023, I was in the midst of getting my undergrad degree, and it's been wild to see how big of an impact they've had on Conference USA in general since they moved in, whether it be football, basketball, baseball. They've won titles in what feels like just about every sport. So obviously a great athletics university, but MTSU also like that, and they're going to have an opportunity to prove it here tonight. But Liberty already has a vote in the USA Today coaches poll, so they're getting recognized from people across the country from that aspect. I saw an article that they were the number 3 ranked mid-major in certain polls, so they're getting plenty of respect, as well they should. 9-0 start is the best start in conference play that the school has ever had. So they've never had this good of a start in CUSA play or any play. It's a historic pace for an already championship level team. They're one of only 11 teams in the nation who are still undefeated in conference play. That's a high benchmark to clear, especially these days, because I feel like conference play and conference teams are as evenly matched as they've been all time. So it's really, really hard to go into a conference against pretty evenly matched opponents and be able, night in and night out, to not only compete, but to win all of those games. And Liberty has managed to be just a little bit above all teams in Conference USA play so far. So it's been pretty impressive to watch. They've won 11 games in a row. That's another thing. You just don't go out and win 11 games in a row unless you're a really darn good team. That is tied for 7th longest in the nation as far as win streaks go. I mean, I can read stuff like that all night long. But they do a lot of other things exceptionally well when it comes to actually playing basketball that's not just reflected in streaks and polls and all that jazz. So, as a team, number 2 in the nation in field goal percentage, 52.1%. They shoot incredibly well from the field, and they're very efficient in the shots that they do take, which makes them really hard to beat. They commit the 3rd fewest turnovers in the country, 4th in turnover to assist ratio, and they're number 4 in 3-point field goal percentage, 40.8% from beyond the arc. This team, I know it's a commonly used phrase, but they literally don't miss at all. They make every single shot that they put up there. This team plays with what I'm going to call the Curt Cignetti method. And that may be an easy term to recognize for some people. It may be a little bit of a vague term for others. What I'm trying to say is that this team out-executes their opponents. They don't give you anything easy. If you're going to beat them, it's going to be because you earned it and you outplayed them on that given night, because they're not going to make mistakes. They're not going to have great stretches, but also then turn the ball over for like 3 minutes straight. They're just not going to do that. It's a kind of discipline that will get you far in not just basketball, but any sport you're in. And I mean, honestly, if we want to get hyperbolic for a second, that goes for life. Having discipline in what you do, having a rhythm, having a standard that you set yourself towards day in, day out, that's how you have success, at least in my opinion. And Liberty embodies that to a huge degree. Obviously, they don't turn the ball over nearly at all. They make the most of their opportunities shooting from the field, which is going to be a big test for MTSU's defense tonight, which I'll get more into in just a minute. Not to mention all of that, Liberty's also got two flamethrowers that, no pun intended, can burn MTSU tonight. Brett Decker Jr., literally unreal. Number 2 in the nation in three-point percentage, number 3 in total three-pointers, and number 5 in threes per game. If all of that kind of tells a story to you, I think that you're onto something, because, yeah, this guy shoots a lot from beyond the arc, and he makes a lot from beyond the arc. But if it's not him, then it's also Zach Cleveland, who's number 8 in the country in assists per game, I should say, and is the conductor for this offense. He's kind of the engine that gets everything rolling for Liberty and helps them keep their offensive consistency up. But he's not just great at getting the offense going, he's also great at giving them second chance opportunities and giving them extra possessions, because he is a rebounding machine. Number 7 in defensive rebounds per game in the country. He leads Conference USA in double-doubles. So he's already great at scoring and at getting assists, but he's also great at getting you second chances and rebounding the basketball. So he's a guy, Cleveland, that can do it all. And when you've got the explosive Decker Jr. just waiting to unload a massive three, it's a heavy test for any defense that has to go up against them. MTSU, I think, no matter where you see this, they're going to need all hands on deck tonight to handle what Liberty's going to bring to them. This is where you need guys like Kamari Lands and Javin Carter to have massive games. Remember, we've seen these guys go off and have double-digit scoring games time in, time out, night in, night out. They're certainly capable of doing just that. Kamari had 15 against Jacksonville State last week. I know that was in a loss, but it was still an impressive 15 points. We've seen him get well above 20 points many times this season. I think he had a season high of 24 against Kennesaw State back in December in the CUSA opener. He's already had 13 double-digit games this season. I think to win, they're almost certainly going to need another game like that from him tonight. And Javin has been getting better and better with each passing game. He's another guy that can go for 20 points off the top and can really give the offense an X factor that they wouldn't otherwise have had in the past. And they're probably going to need that as well. You're going to have to score a lot of points to keep up with this Liberty offense, because they are just going to be going at you, trying to lean on you time and time again, trying to find open shots, scoring, making your defense work, trying to wear you down. It's going to be as much of a mental battle as it is a physical battle. And I'm curious to see how all of that kind of plays into what we see tonight. Going back to what I said earlier, the biggest question I have for this game is whether MTSU can stop Liberty from the outside and take away their high percentage shots, which is really where they make their money at. That is where Liberty has been able to be at their best possible version of themselves, and MTSU is going to have to be ready to account for that. The defense has been improving as the years gone by, and I think that's an important thing to remember. Outside of overtime games and the Jack State game that we saw last week, they have not allowed 70 points in a game in 2026. So, and most of those games, I think all of those games actually, are in conference play. So they're playing pretty good defense against conference opponents. They've had some games slip away. Obviously, the Jack State and the overtime games were an exception, but otherwise, they've been able to hold opponents at bay for the most part. They will certainly have to do that again tonight, especially with that sizable challenge that they have in front of them in Liberty. So how does MTSU stop Liberty on defense? Well, I think the biggest thing, like I said, take away the high percentage shots. Don't let them get anything easily open. I would say man-to-man defense is the way to go, but I trust that Coach McDevitt and his staff will have a method and a idea for how they want to play this tonight. So I'm curious to see what he has to deploy on that end, and you've got to take away the three-point shooting. Whatever you do, you can't let Liberty beat you by virtue of getting three-pointers wide open from downtown. Because if you allow that, Liberty's not going to miss. Like we just talked about with Decker Jr., he's going to make as many of them as he can. And they, much like MTSU offensively, they are a three-point first basketball team, and they're not going to be afraid to shoot that. If anyone should understand how to stop that, it's MTSU, because you've got most of your players playing against each other in practice anyway. So I would think that almost gives MTSU an advantage to some degree, but that's maybe just me, speaking out loud here. I don't know that for sure, but it is an idea that I think may have some merit to it. So I'm curious to see if that leads into the matchup a little bit tonight, because MTSU probably experiences that and deals with that in practice. Again, Coach McDevitt and the staff are going to have their hands full with Liberty. No doubt about it. But I think if anyone's going to take it to Liberty and possibly hand them their first conference loss, I think MTSU's got a pretty good shot at it. Currently, I think tied for third in the standings right now, so they're still very much in the race for that number one seed in Conference USA, which is an extra bye, which is a better matchup in the Conference USA tournament. There's no understating how big of a game this is for MTSU. I think a lot of people maybe underrate regular season college basketball. Well, don't underrate this game, because this may very well, I'm getting so excited I can't talk. That's how big this game is. This may very well be the biggest game in Conference USA this season. This is a game that may preview the Conference USA championship game later on in 2026. So you're going to want to keep a keen eye on this. Historically, Liberty has had the advantage in this series, but MTSU did pick up one home win at the Murphy Center in 2024. I think we will get MTSU's best tonight. They're going to need it to get the job done, but if they play at their best, and if their defense is able to limit Liberty in some capacity, I think we could be in for a really fun game. We are going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll talk MTSU men's tennis. They've got a big match coming up tonight. We'll talk about that. And NASCAR is back. Boogity, 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 ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in just a bit right here on All Sports Talk.
At State Farm, when home and auto work as a team, you score and save money. I'm State Farm agent Andy Wama. Give me a call at 615-890-0850, and let's work together to win big by saving money on home and auto. With the service you get from State Farm, you might think our car insurance costs more. I'm State Farm agent Andy Wama. Give me a call at 615-890-0850, and let me show you with discounts up to 40%. You may find it even costs less.
You're listening to the flagship station for Blue Raiders sports.
Caught 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
Play up and score. Middle Tennessee football, basketball, and baseball. Yeah, we got them.
You're listening to the flagship station for Blue Raider Athletics. I'm Chip Walters. Hear the games here on News Radio WGNS.
Middle Tennessee wins. Raiders win the championship.
Your source for the Big Blue and the Borough. News Radio WGNS.
This is Chip Walters, and I'm honored to be your 2024 MTAR Realtor of the Year. I'm with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, and like many of you, I've seen the real estate market shift and change. People often ask, Chip, what's really going on? Well, that's a great question, and I believe in answering with solid, factual data. So let's cut through some of the noise. I invite you to reach out. Let's have a conversation about your real estate goals and the current market trends in your neighborhood. You can find all my contact information at choosechip.net.
If someone asked, what's your more? Would you be surprised? Well, at First Bank, knowing your more is where we start. Whether it's seeing your kid's college graduation, seeing the world, or seeing the ocean from your patio, your more helps us see who you are. That's why First Bank offers you more time, more access to local lenders and leaders, more answers, and more products. So tell us, what's your more? First Bank. Bank local. Get more. Member FDIC.
Lace up your best kicks for a night of impact benefiting First Shot. Join us for the annual Sneaker Ball, presented by Venture Express. Spend Sunday, April 26th with NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl MVP Marcus Allen. The event kicks off at 6 with a VIP meet and greet at 5. Reserve your table today. Call Coach Andy Herzer at 615-631-5312. We'll see you at the Sneaker Ball, benefiting First Shot on April 26th.
All across the country, drivers are reaping the rewards for safer driving with the updated Drive Safe and Safe app from State Farm. Plus, with dynamic new features like interactive maps and driving tips, the pursuit of your discount is even easier. You can earn up to 30%. Just download the Drive Safe and Save app from State Farm and get started. Just call me, Agent Deb Insel, at 931-684-5274, and we'll help you sign up today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Good afternoon. It's been struggling for the last 15-20 minutes. 24 westbound at Briley Parkway, trying to get north of town. We had a stalled vehicle up in that area around OHB. Again, extra time towards the Jolt and Clarksville area on 24 westbound from that earlier problem. It's still a little bit heavy at times over here where they're working eastbound on Briley right at Brick Church Pike. Building pretty good I-40 out in the Mount Juliet area. Hey, Stein Dental Care in Nashville. That's where I go, and so should you. Google Stein Dental Care. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on-time traffic.
It's all sports talk from the Good Neighbor Network, FM 1019, 100.5, AM 1450, wgnsradio.com, and Big G TV.
And welcome back. Yes, it's another exciting edition of All Sports Talk, special Lightning Round Thursday edition tonight, right here from the WGNS studio, the Good Neighbor Network. And coming up in T-minus 9 minutes, we've got MTSU men's basketball pregame show with the voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters. That will be coming your way soon. But before we send things off for All Sports Talk tonight, wanted to shout out a couple of things. First up, MTSU men's tennis on the road themselves. In fact, their match has already started, but they're playing the Vanderbilt Commodores tonight. I had Jacob Burgess on last night. He's covered MTSU men's tennis in the past, as have I. We were talking about the start that they've had to this season. They've looked exceptional so far. Already wins over American Conference Team UAB and Ivy League team Harvard. This is the first time they've gotten off to a 5-0 start since 2001, which is wild to think. That was before I was even born, if that puts things in perspective, which is crazy to think about because they've had such a rich tradition of success. But yeah, this is the first time they've been 5-0 since 2001, and it's because of great players like Kareem Al-Amin, Andre Horak, and so many others on this squad this year. They just had Eric Crive, who took home the CUSA Athlete of the Week honors. I'm hopefully pronouncing your name right, Eric. If I'm not, then I apologize. But he's been incredible as the 4 seed so far this year. Straight set wins over his opponents against Harvard and UAB. Again, Jimmy Borendame's incredible development strikes again and shows how he can make these players even better and make them true college superstars. Of course, I talked about it just a second ago, but MTSU already with wins over great opponents this season. So they've been beating some solid competition, but I think it's fair to say this is certainly a step up in the level of competition. Vanderbilt 4-1 on the year, and you're going on the road for the first time this season and into an SEC environment. So this is a horse from a different fire department, as a coach once said. Vanderbilt themselves has just one loss on the season, and that came against the number 1 team in the nation and defending national champions, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. So I think that's a pretty excusable loss, if I had to say. They've also got a win over North Carolina, who's been a pretty good team in the ACC in past years. So this is going to be a gut check game, I feel like, for both sides, to kind of figure out where they're at as far as this season goes. And MTSU's not going to be in the friendly confines of ATC, so it's certainly not going to be easy. However, they have beaten Vanderbilt before, and under Jimmy Borendane, they've managed to pretty well split the series over the last few years. Since 2009, the series is split 12-12 between these two teams. Usually when Vanderbilt comes to Murfreesboro, MTSU wins. However, MTSU traveling there this time, so will that have an impact on the game? I'm not sure yet, but MTSU, again, untested on the road, so that could play into this. Either way, I think it's going to be a really good test for both sides, and it'll be a great way of us really finding out what the ceiling is for this MTSU team, which I like to think that there is no ceiling, but it is going to give us a gauge, at least I guess right now, of where their abilities are at. So best of luck to Coach Borendame and the squad in their big matchup tonight against Vandy on the road. And, folks, NASCAR is back. That's right. NASCAR is back. The NASCAR Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray is coming up this weekend on Sunday, as a matter of fact. And I couldn't be more excited. I am a big NASCAR fan, for those who didn't know. Been a fan since my youth. But I will say that in past years, I've been sort of, I guess, disconnected from the sport, if that makes any sense. But I wanted to make it a point to check it out and check out the whole season this year. So I'm making it a point to try to watch every race that I can, and I'm going to bring you some reasons why you should do the same here in just a second. But they're going to be in Winston-Salem, the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray. Again, it's going to be, kind of a demolition derby, I guess, for lack of a better term. But I think it's going to be in all the best ways. Going to be cold, too. Looking at 29 degrees for the high on Sunday night. So if you're going to that race, make sure you pack your jacket because you're going to need it. This is just a kickoff race, by the way, before the real season starts in Daytona, for those curious. But I think reasons to watch NASCAR this season especially are kind of double-fold. They are going to experiment with bringing back expanded and better horsepower, which has been something fans have been screaming about for years. It looks like they're finally getting back somewhat in that direction. So hope that's the case, because I think the racing overall in the Cup Series is a lot better when that happens. And the biggest reason is that the chase is back. The NASCAR playoffs are no more. I have had some very emotional opinions about the NASCAR playoffs in the past. I just think it wasn't the correct way to crown a champion. I think in the sport of auto racing, and especially of NASCAR, things are just too chaotic to try to determine a champion through a playoff format, quote unquote. And it created some really skewed results, I would say, and champions who came out of the system that, not to say they didn't earn it, but it felt as though that they maybe weren't the most consistent driver all season. I think that's the biggest thing that NASCAR should reward, is consistency, and we're finally at least somewhat getting back to that this season. Now, I think a lot of people, myself included, would have preferred a season-long point total, but this is a great compromise, and at least the chase awards some level of consistency. You've got the final 10 races of the season instead of it all coming down to just one race, so I think that does put a little more leeway on how you drive earlier on in the season and how you finish the year. So I think that this is going to be a fantastic season if all goes according to plan and NASCAR follows up on these changes. And I've got one message to NASCAR on this. Keep it going.